Can you see this slide?
Yes, now we see the
You
petrol-based
see
cooking.
patrol-based cooking, a path to
Yes,
success?
yes,
I'm going to move to the next slide. Do you see the next slide agenda?
yes, we do see.
Yes. Yes. Now you got
Did
it.
it
It's
move?
working now.
Did it move? Okay. Now, did we see the third slide, patrols?
Yes.
It's
We
working.
have
Good
success.
job.
Says the teacher who uses this every day. So, obviously, you know, we're talking to the converted right now with patrols. So I'm going to move swiftly on here. A tip for senior patrol leaders is we want to plan about 4 weeks out. Determine which scouts and patrols are going on the trip. We do suggest about 8 is the maximum size. And we want to mix the troops up every time with regards to rank and skills. So there is spreading the wealth. Select the patrol leaders and then the grub master. Now, this is California. And this is one thing that I want to definitely in this current situation talk about is are there fire restrictions and limitations where you're camping? You've got to plan ahead depending on its fire season, and does that hinder or change where and what your grub master can plan on their menu. So next slide. Cooking for a campout. One of the most important roles for a campout. Hungry scouts and patrol leaders and our leaders in general are not happy scouts. They usually require parental involvement, but please understand that you're not doing it for them. The parents and the patrols need to do this on, the parents need to do this on their, need to be there just to support. Obviously, there's a lot in the scout book that can help with this. So the grub master roles and responsibilities. You want to plan the camp out menus. You want to prepare the cooking gear and equipment, buy the food and needed supplies, pack the food for transport and storage, assign patrol members to do the duty roster, supervise. And this can be hard for new scouts. This is where the EDGE method really does come to play at all camp out and cooking and cleaning. And then if this is something that your troop does is submit report of equipment status. Let's go to the next slide. Critical step is patrol leader follow through. Using the EDGE method, which I talked about, is provide training, help review planning menu and techniques, keep the grub master on track, on schedule and being prepared, and support the grub master and keep them accountable. So sometimes with new grub masters, they need a lot of guidance, and you need your patrol leaders or your SPL to really check in with them a lot. Yes, they have some great ideas, but can they execute them once they're in the field? So this is a potential outline or timeline that you could use at a campout. 4 weeks ahead, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, and then departure. So assess where you're going, what you're doing, and obviously what you need. Then you start planning, getting your ideas together. Maybe the troop or the patrol can talk about what they'd like to eat together with the grub master. This is where then preparation comes in 2 weeks ahead. At this point, you should know your numbers. You should also be thinking about any special dietary needs. Week before is shopping, and then obviously the day of departure. So 4 weeks out, this is where you assess. The grub master should review what is required to accomplish his or her goal. If they have never been the grub master, they should tell their SPL and they will need help. Confirm all the details. This is really important that they know all the information. This will help not only deciding how much they need, but also things can change. Maybe there's a change of venue. Maybe there's a change in numbers. Maybe there is a change in dietary needs, not only for their patrol, but maybe in the leaders or the adults coming. 3 weeks out, plan and get ideas. The grub master starts the duty roster page. This is where the grub master will know who is in their patrol, and assigning jobs. They start with ideas, menus, discuss them, allocation of meal prep, when and where to buy the food, depending on whether it's perishable or not. Start looking at the gear they're going to need, and then how to store that food and the gear. And then this is where, if you have a patrol box, which most troops do, then you start looking at that. What is needed? Is there anything missing? Do you need to catch up on that? 2 weeks out, preparing, confirming the details for the outing. Do you have someone, an adult or a leader, who is in charge of the outings, confirming all that information, finalizing the menu, and getting that signed off by the senior patrol leader and the patrol leader, double checking the menu and the budget, confirming timelines versus activities, identifying and making sure that any special cooking equipment is available, and if able, continue filling in the duty roster. Things might change. Scouts may have to pull out of this particular event, so that changes numbers. 1 week out, shopping and preparing. Prepare the patrol box. Prepare special equipment, shopping, make sure you have enough, not too much food, store food appropriately, prepare foods in possible storage for freezer, and keep receipts. Preparing food beforehand can make life simpler for everyone. This is something that can be done during a patrol or troop meeting, where you teach the scouts how to pre-prep the food. This is great to either do virtually, now we're in remote learning, where you can do it in the kitchen, or you could do it as a part of an activity prior to cooking that evening at your camping event. This allows students to learn a new skill, but it also eases time and prep. Pre-cutting vegetables, pre-cooking meat, mincemeat, bacon. Bacon attracts lots of unwelcome visitors at your campout, as I'm sure many of you have experienced. Buying pre-cooked bacon is wonderful. I know Costco does a great job on that. And pre-cooking and freezing the main dish might be an option too. The grub master does the shopping. Parent shops, the scout learns nothing. The parent can absolutely give advice, but we want the grub master to try and do this on their own. Planning ahead, you might want to sit with the grub master, the senior patrol, or a troop guide to go through what are good options depending on their menu. You want to think about size and quantity. What are alternative options? You don't want a lot left over. Buy for easy delivery, which means pre-packaged portions are great, better than huge bags. However, please take into consideration some other things like the environment. Shopping, our troop uses an Excel spreadsheet to help track expenditure. An environmental note here, remember the Scouts outdoor code and leave no trace. It is easy to buy lots of pre-packaged food for campouts, but that's then a lot of waste, and environmentally, we're kind of not doing our job. So what are things you could discuss with the grub master that could alleviate this? How could we pre-package the food in such a way that we minimize our waste and leave no trace? Sometimes it is not possible, but it is definitely something to think about. Departure day. Make sure all the items are packed and stored correctly. Perishables are refrigerated and dry goods are where they need to be, separated. Double check your patrol box and special equipment and supplies. Give patrol leaders duty rosters. Everyone in the patrol, I'm going to go back one. Sorry, pressed the wrong button. Patrol duty rosters. It's really, really important that you display the duty rosters for everyone to see, not only the SPL, but also the leaders and the patrol, so that they're well aware of what is needed and when it is needed. Everyone goes in the patrol goes on the roster. This means everyone's contributing and no one's left behind. The duty roster page in the troop planning pack, maybe you have one of those. Print it out before the camp out. There may be changes made on the day. That's okay. A suggestion is to have a special board that you bring with you. Maybe you put it in plastic wallets. That's an idea. Post it, always post it where it is available for everyone. This is an example of our duty roster that we use in our troop. Again, the grub master might need to have several copies because it might change. And obviously this is just a guide. The duties assigned may differ depending on the meal, and it may differ on the type of equipment needed. Eat, easy, accepted, and tasty. This is always the biggest challenge that the scouts have. Can they make it simple? Can they make it easy to eat? Can they make cleanup definitely easy? Foods that are well known and liked, that use maybe the same ingredients for various meals. And if someone wants to be inventive, maybe they want to try it at home first on family members. That's a really good opportunity to see if it's going to pass the taste bud test. Breakfast considerations. Depending on when you're having your breakfast, is it the day of cleaning up and moving out of your campsite, or is it the first morning of your camping experience? Will it need to be a big breakfast? Are you going on a long hike? Is it just going to be hot or cold? How much time do you have? Could breakfast include prepping for your lunch? These are things to think about. Suggestions for breakfast. This will all depend on what your plan is for the day. While pancakes are always a winner, be mindful of cleanup. Teaching scouts how to make pancakes on a griddle is always a great troop activity, especially prior to a camp out. We in Troop 233 have the Great Pancake Cook-Off. This doubles up as a fun activity, but also a way to really have our scouts practice. Pancake making is not as easy as you think, as well as the cleanup involved. Lunch considerations, again, like breakfast. What are you doing for the day? How easy is cleanup? Where actually are you camping? Do you need to carry it? Does it need to be made ahead of time? Is there a no mess kit option that you need? Again, lunches, are they just sandwiches? Is this the main meal of the day because you're going on a night hike? What are you doing? Dinner. Preparation is key here. Can it be cooked, peeled, chopped at home ahead of time? Usually this is the meal that we really would like a protein in there, especially if not a lot has been eaten during the course of the day. This usually involves the most prep and the most cooking, and we like to consider it a hot meal. Again, this is an option. You may have your main meal during the middle of the day, depending on your camping experience. This meal usually involves a lot more thought and will require, especially with a new grub master, the SPL helping with the edge method or a troop guide. Dinner. There are so many options. Is there something that was left over by breakfast or from lunch that could be used here that could be incorporated into dinner? Or whatever was used at dinner, could it be used for breakfast the next morning or lunch the next day if it is a multi-day camping experience? Dinner, dessert. Usually this is the highlight of every camping experience because usually you want a campfire. If you're going to do Dutch oven, this is where a new grub master or even a grub master who hasn't done it for a while might need some intervention from the SPL, the troop guide, and or the leaders because of what is involved. A lot of preparation and planning ahead is required to make this successful. So if you are going on a hike, does the patrol leader need to bring back the grub master early to the campsite to prep for a Dutch oven experience? Gearing up. Most troops have a patrol box. This is where they need to prep ahead to make sure that everything is in there ready for your camping experience. And Dutch ovens, make sure you have every tool that goes with it. And fuel, what type of fuel are you using and have you got enough for the entire camping experience? Again, this goes back to, can you use that fuel on your camping experience if you have restrictions depending on where you're camping, especially in California? Cooking gear, pots. Do you need lids? Do they fit? Frying pans, are they well seasoned? Do you need to make sure you have oil to season them while you're cooking? You need pots for hot water for cleaning. Stainless steel versus the nonstick, and proper utensils. Plastic versus stainless steel versus wood. Obviously, the scouts need to be trained on using the right utensils with the right type of pots and pans so they don't damage your gear for future camping experiences. Food packing. Ice cooler versus dry bin. Again, this can be a great opportunity for you to have a troop meeting about this, or even a patrol experience. How to pack your cooler, how to pack your dry goods. This is one area where some newer scouts really struggle because usually if they're gone camping with their parents do it for them.
So can you back up? What do you mean by dry bin?
I just mean by dry bin is what I mean is, you know, when they have those bins where they put the dry food in. So it would be anything that's not perishable. So it would be things like your condiments, it would be your bread, it would be your chips, it would be your, does that make sense? Anything that is a dry food. A lot on our campouts, they bring those clear plastic tubs.
Okay.
And they put the dry food
I wasn't sure if it was a different kind of thing for like doing dry ice for your cold food or something, but
no,
it's for your not cold food.
Yeah, not cold food. I refer to it as a dry bin.
Oh, okay, got it.
I mean, if you want to bring dry ice, I'm sure that's an experiment in itself.
Yeah, I actually like dry ice for camping trips if I can.
That's great. Food safety is really important. Again, I go back to reiterating, these are really good opportunities to have troop meetings or patrol meetings about this. Foodborne illnesses that can happen and ways to prevent them. The 3 bin washing methodology for cleanup can be incorporated here. The hand washing that happens to ensure that foodborne illness does not happen. And obviously it's most common in perishable foods, but as well in eggs and dairy produce. This is something that can happen. So it is good to really review this before the camp out. Obviously food safety, not all scouts are going to remember this, but being aware is half the battle. So checking seals on food containers or bags. If a scout has decided to pre-prep the food and bring it frozen, then a discussion is really good to have with that scout about where to put it, whether it goes in the, where to put it in the dry bin or whether they put it in the igloo or cooler that they have, how long it's going to take to defrost. These are the things that can be talked about. Discarding leftovers. Do you have bears or vermin in the area? So how do you discard the leftovers after your meal prep? And obviously raw meat separate from other foods. The washing hands, imperative. Again, you might want to set up a wash station just for hands, depending on where you're camping. If you're not near toilets and that facility, you can have one of those stations set up straight away, and that can be built by the scouts. And that's a wonderful opportunity for them to learn. So at the Campout, the grub master is the executive chef. They supervise all the cooking and cleanup, and they need to be prepared for that. So if a patrol has not done their job, unfortunately, the grub master is the taskmaster. They need to make sure that patrol comes up and cleans up, even if everyone else is off at the activity. They get to delegate every task if possible, but they are not alone. The SPL and the leaders are there to help. So after the campout, this is debriefing time. They get to report to the SPL or the quartermaster, damaged or missing equipment. They take notes of any problems or issues and submit a grubmaster report, either for reimbursement or in general to say how things went. So some pro tips and reminders. In our troop, we actually allocate about $5 per scout per meal. Scouts, we have found, don't generally eat very healthy on our camping trips. So bringing loads of salad is a no-win. While we would like them to do it, it usually doesn't happen. Innovation is great, but we recommend trying it at home first. Doing food prep at home really makes it easier and faster. Chopping vegetables, browning meat, cooking bacon at home. Pre-measure, pre-pack. And maybe you want to start a troop cookbook for quick and easy ideas. Some pro tip extras. Collecting condiments from your takeouts, pizza, any of the fast food places. You can bung those into your patrol boxes. It makes every food taste better in case there was a slight hiccup in the cooking. We really recommend that. Having maybe a grubmaster binder might be an easy way for the grubmaster to track how they're doing. Consider that for each patrol. This way, everything is in one place for both the grubmaster, the patrol, the SPL, and the leaders. It's a one-stop shop. Inside will be maybe the cookbook that your troop has, plus what the grubmaster's responsibilities are as a reminder for them. There's the grubmaster duty rosters, all in little sheets for them. They can have a recipe available so that anybody who is cooking can go to that recipe, and it tells them all the steps that they need to follow, especially if the grubmaster cannot be with them while they're cooking. Maybe you want to have some extra pockets available for those instructions, so whoever is in the patrol cooking knows where to go for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or any other options that you have. And finally, maybe you want to consider putting together your own cookbook, as I suggested earlier, and even making a pocket size that can go in the Scouts pocket or into their actual Scout book, so that they have a one-stop shop. Inside that cookbook, you can actually have quick tips on food preparation, the cleanup with the 3-pan or 3-bucket option, and then even Dutch oven temperatures. That allows all the grubmasters plus the cooks themselves to have a place to remember and remind them what they need and when they need it. So I am going to say thank you to Google for a lot of their images, and my dear friend in Troop 233, Mr. Aaron Potts, for helping me with these slides. And I am going to stop the screen share now, and I am going to put it out there because we are so on time. If anybody has any questions, I am willing to answer them. Yes, I can share those Judy rosters with you. And if you give me 1 second, I will give you a quick screen share of the, let me see, give me 1 second. I will pull them up for you. I will absolutely pull them up for you. Which one is that? So feel free to talk amongst yourselves, because I'm here to answer questions, but I'm sure a lot of you know this already.
So one thing that my troop discovered sort of accidentally a while ago was that the kids eat a lot more vegetables if the vegetables are available about like half an hour to 20 minutes before the main course is available. So if you cook your vegetables and have your salad ready and you say, okay, kids, now it's salad time and the pasta is going to be ready in 20 minutes, then they eat a whole lot more salad than if you have the salad and the pasta ready at the same time.
Agreed.
And
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I love anybody else's best practices.
Okay, I am going to, Mrs. Leonard, I am going to allow you that privilege. That would be great. Give me 1 second. And I'm just going to tell you right now, it was my boss is called Mrs. Leonard. And when I saw your name come up, I had a horror moment. I'm just telling you right now. I was like, what is my boss doing? How did she get this information? I was just like,
sorry.
No, that's okay. I was like, okay, so yes, please feel free to do that. I am just grabbing, I am just going to grab those 2 rosters for you, the Judy roster, and I will actually, I was talking to Mr. Craig about how I can share with you the cookbook, which is here. I want to see if I can find some way of sharing my my screen, not my screen, with the actual template of the whole. I can't remember whether I put it on Word or whether I did it on Google. How I can get that out to you. Do you know what I mean? If it can be sent to you as an email.
So yeah, that would be great. Or if you have it in a Google Doc or something,
yes,
that you could share
I want to see how we can do that, because obviously right now I'm not in a position to be able to take everybody's email address. So right. I want to see how I can get that information from.
Yeah, we all registered somehow, right? So we all gave the email address.
Registered. Like there's like 30 people registered, but half of them, most of them turned up. So it's just a matter of that. So I'm going to see if I can, I'm looking for my Judy rosters as a PDF for you so that I can put that on there for you. Here we go.
Yeah, if you've got them as PDFs or Word files.
Yes, I have them right now.
You can just attach them in the chat or send them in
that's what I'm doing right now. So I am just doing that right now. I'm just finding that right now. Let's see. It's been kind of hot right now. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Your comment about the individual serving sizes and prepackaged stuff. I actually tell my guys that they aren't allowed to bring individual packages. You know, they can buy the big Costco bag, but we'll just like, it's more like they used to always love those Capri Suns, right? Those Capri Sun little pouches. And then you'd end up with these straws all over the campsite and these little plastic things. And I'm like, no, water bottles. You guys get water bottles. And if you want a treat, you know, maybe we can get a big jug of juice or something and you can fill your water bottle. But I said no to the individual, especially like juice box things were the
Yes.
big thing.
Absolutely, I would agree. The one thing, it's very tempting to go to Costco and buy the large, like especially things like the muffins and the Danishes, because you can buy bulk and you can buy the big pallets.
Yeah.
Let's say 25, 30, but they all come in prepackaged. But some of those muffins kind of look like a kneecap and they're very large. Considering halving them and offering the boys or the girls half a one, because some of our scouts are small and they don't eat the whole one. So they take a whole one, they open it up and they eat half or a quarter of it and then throw it away. So some of the tricks that we've done and encouraged is buy half the amount of things like that and then just cut them in half. And then we're more inclined to get rid of all the food. One of the other tricks that we do at the end of a camping experience is all the food that is left over is left out when we get back to our pickup destination, and which is our church. And then according to your rank, starting with the highest rank, you're allowed to go and choose your leftovers. And they go and pick a leftover, and they're allowed to go take one leftover, and then they can go to the back of the line if they want another leftover. And we just work through the troop that way to get rid of leftovers, so that parents are not lumbered with a 2-gallon thing of milk or a box of Cheerios that no one in their house eats. So that is a way of getting rid of some of the additional food. But again, the idea is to have minimum kind of waste on that. So it's hard for these, some of the younger scouts, especially new scouts, to really think about more than themselves and one or two other people. So a lot of troop guide help and SPL help is needed.
So I had a question actually. So with our troop, I mean, we always end up having a lot of leftovers, like a significant amount. And it just seems like, even if you plan and someone decides, they don't want to eat this or that, or I don't know, or maybe so what we decided was, and then, the expense also, because you've gone out and you've bought like 6 bagels and cream spread and uh, various other things. So and then there's leftovers, and we're trying to get rid of those, and a parent or a family picks it up and takes it. What we found out was that we could assign um, items to boys that they can bring from their house. Like suppose they have to make pasta, right? So they can, if they have like pasta at home, they can just bring like pasta in a Ziploc bag, and then they can make it over there. They can get like one block of butter. We don't have to buy the entire package of butter.
Mm-hmm.
But then my question was that so we're kind of depending on the parents also, right? And of course we want to keep the expenses low. So and you still want to teach the kids about money and budgeting and expenses and stuff. So I mean, how do you strike a balance over there? Because when we decided to assign items to boys, I mean, of course the moms and everybody, they would say chop up the onions. If they have onion, we'll just need like one onion, they'll chop it up, they'll put it there. So the boys aren't getting the concept. I mean, they learn that they're saving money like that, but again, so you understand what I'm getting at? It's kind of
So,
a tricky situation. Yeah.
okay, so from what I am gathering, let me just recap there. You're saying that, do you have the whole troop decide on the food and each scout brings a part of that? Or do you have one grub master designating who brings what?
So usually what happens is, I mean, when they're planning, the grub master kind of, they list out what they want to eat, and then they also list out the items that are required to make these dishes, right?
Okay.
And we're talking patrol based, not troop based, but patrol based, right? So each patrol is cooking their own meal, and so within that patrol, the items are assigned. So
Mm-hmm.
this boy brings like 6 eggs, maybe for like in the morning for the morning, or just bagels, and spread from their own house, so they can take it back and reuse it. Or they just bring like one block of butter just for the morning, to have it with muffins, English muffins or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of trying to keep our expenses low because
Yes.
they're using things from their own house, right?
Yes.
But then, so the kids don't learn that they have to go out and then they have to buy, and then they have to fill up the expense sheet. You get what I'm
I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
So, well, you know what? They can still bring items from home, but that experience of going to the supermarket and finding items. So what they want to do is this. The experience is allocating a weight of an item per person or per scout. For instance, you kind of allocate about 2 ounces of, say, cut meat if you were making sandwiches per scout. So if you know that you've got 6 scouts to eat, you're going to have at least 12 ounces of cut meat. So whether it's sliced ham, sliced turkey, whatever the scouts are eating. So the scout is going to have to do a little bit of math before going to the supermarket. So if they're feeding those 6 scouts, they know they're looking for a package that is the minimum of 12 ounces. So then they're looking at the cost per 12 ounces. So the experience of going to the supermarket and just looking at the items doesn't mean they have to purchase. They can still bring the items from home, but they can still have that. I have to plan as if I was going to the supermarket. I have this allocation where I know that for every scout, I have to have 1 ounce of dry pasta. So how many scouts am I feeding? I'm feeding 6 scouts. So I need to find a box, or I need to bring enough for 6 ounces of dry pasta. So how much do I need? Do you understand what I'm saying there? So you can still have that experience, but then they can maybe at home, they have to weigh it out.
Yeah.
From their own at home. So it's kind of a 2-step activity where they have to do a little bit of math and planning, and then the items doesn't necessarily be physically purchased in a supermarket, but it can be brought from home. But they
So like
still
shopping on paper, just on paper. And,
yeah, it's shopping on paper. And if they need to go and actually physically have a trip to the supermarket to go see the prices, that's great. Again, it doesn't mean that they have to purchase physically. They're just seeing what's out there. And they can compare prices. What is the difference between saying to go to Smart and Final as opposed to going to Safeway or going to Costco? And that can be done over a period of a couple of weeks. Doesn't have to be done in all one day, but it will need some parental intervention.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Makes sense.
You're welcome. I hope that helps.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense. We just have to add like another step, for them to plan this all on paper and, just show us the experience, I guess, which is kind of difficult for the boys because, they just want to get it over with. Yeah. But I guess, yeah, makes sense.
Yes. And you don't have to do it all in one go. You can do it in small doses. It could be choose a dessert. choose a main meal, choose a breakfast, choose a lunch, just so that they at least have that experience. So if they were planning sandwiches, what would you do? How would you do that? It doesn't have to be for the entire camp out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure, it does. Yeah. Thank you.
Because it could be really overwhelming to say you got to do it for the entire.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no, you want to
mhm.
maybe pick and choose, and maybe with the scouts, with your scouts, maybe you designate some scouts to do one meal and other scouts to do another meal, and then they compare.
Mm.
So they're not all doing the same meal if they're doing that kind of an activity.
Yeah, that also kind of makes sense. Yeah.
And even what Gary Louise was saying on the sandwiches, the scout that's doing the lunch and the sandwiches, to help them understand, I have 10 scouts, how many pieces of bread is in a loaf of bread? So I need 2 pieces of bread for each scout. So I need 20 pieces of bread, and make sure that's in the loaf, you know? So you don't get to a camp out and you realize, wow, everyone only gets 1 piece of bread, you know? And then how many pieces of meat am I going to have everybody have? How many pieces of meat is in this package? So it's great for them to go to the store. And that first time you go with your kid as the grub masters of the store, it could be a 2-hour trip, because you're looking at every single item and saying, okay, well, how many pieces are in that? How many people do you have? You know, and that way they know at the camp out, when everyone's loading up, they can say, you're allowed 3 pieces of meat. You're allowed 2 pieces of cheese. So they know they have the exact quantity for every single person, and everyone's not just taking what they want. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it does.
that
Yeah,
is priceless, because it's helping them learn the quantities. And wow, I'm going to need to buy 2 of those. And that's, you know, I make my son write down the prices of everything, and he's got to come in budget before we even get to the register. You know, so he's looking at, and I tell him, if you go over budget, it's coming out of your pocket. So I mean, he's like really making sure he's in budget, in quantity, and all that. And it's priceless, because they learn it really quick. And then they start to get creative, and they start to look for sales. And this is buy one, get 2. And well, if I buy bulk, I'm going to get, you know, and it just starts to click, 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 click with them.
Yeah, I agree with that comment about the grocery shop taking forever, especially because they will bounce back and forth across the grocery store like 15 times, because they're like, oh, I need the bagels, and then they'll go all the way over to the produce section, and then, oh no, I forgot the bread, and they'll bounce back and forth. But that's all good, because they realize what, you know, their parents go through all the time, and hopefully they eventually learn, which is the whole point of this, right? So
yeah.
And
with my Girl Scouts, then we started doing troop shopping tips, where we divide them up into patrols, and each patrol had a meal they were responsible for. And we would go as an entire troop to the grocery store, and each patrol would buy things. And when they were in 3rd grade, it took them like 2 hours to do the shopping trip. But now that they're 8th graders, then we're in and out in 30 minutes.
This is great, because it once they get the hang of it, it becomes really easy. And also they want to keep a note of things. So don't just do it once and then get rid of that information. Store it somewhere, because then they can refer to it again and again and again. So keep it somewhere. It's really important that you keep it as reference, because it can come in handy at another time, especially at another camp out, if they want to use the same ingredients for another recipe, or they want to use that recipe again. So everyone, it is 3:53. We have 7 minutes, but if truly, I know that some people have got some other places to be. If nobody has any more questions, I am more than happy to let you guys go. It is a Saturday afternoon, but if there's anything else, please let me know. I'm here right now. Any other questions anybody has? Anything
I
else?
have a quick question, or a quick request. If you are willing, are you willing to share your cute little mini cookbook that you showed
Absolutely.
us?
Absolutely.
And would you be willing to share your email address, and then we can shoot you an email if we'd like to
That
see
would
a copy
be
of that?
much larger, wouldn't it? That would be
That
so
way, only those of us that are interested in seeing it could reach out to you.
Wait, I can't type at this point. My computer is really hot.
And I think that cookbook in our troop is a wood badge ticket from one of our leaders.
Great.
Oh, really?
I gotta give kudos to the gatherer of the recipes there.
Here
I
we go.
appreciate you sharing that, because it's so much easier
Oh,
than having
no.
to recreate the wheel.
Well, no, actually what it is it's taken from a cookbook that our troop originally had, and it's just been morphed and edited and updated. So the lady that was just talking, Miss Palmafi, has got recipes in there from her. as well.
Well, thank you all for your contributions to that.
No, thank you. Absolutely. Please feel free, and I will see, I cannot remember where I put this, whether I put it as a Google document or whether I put it as a Word document, but I will definitely forward that to you if you're interested. Please, if you can put in the subject line of your email that you're looking for the cookbook from the our University of Scouting, that would really help me in the emails. Because we all know we get a lot of spam, and if it goes into my spam folder, I want to make sure that I don't just delete you. Sorry. Okay, we've got 5 minutes to go. I am happy to close out for everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time. I believe these will be, this little recording will be available at some time else. Thank you for being part of this.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome, and
Yeah.
yay for scouting in virtual.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Off you
Thank
go.
you.
Bye. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna close this up.
Bye.
Bye.